shoot. Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Coming to you from the outdoors today, well, as much as the outdoors that I can get during lockdown. We're going to have a look at the flashlight today. Before we do, just need to do a quick thing, and that is to mention, if you haven't already seen last week's video, which was on the Osprey Nebula backpack, definitely go and check that out once you finish watching the video, because obviously you want to watch this video because this video is going to be great. But check that video out as soon as you've done this, because there is a giveaway as part of that video. So just quickly, it is for an Eastpak the One bag. There is a Victorinox Pioneer in that giveaway as well, and there is also this brand new with tags Osprey Nebula. So make sure you watch that video so that you can see exactly how you can get your hands on this, because the giveaway ends on the 1st of July 2020, just in case you're watching this in 3 or 4 years time. So if you want to be part of that giveaway, then I highly recommend, when this video is finished, obviously you want to watch this one in full, every second counts, and then as soon as you've done that, skip back and watch the previous video. I'll link it to the end of this video so that you can see how you can get your hands on those items. But for now, what we're going to be looking at is the HC35 flashlight, right angle flashlight from Nitecore. This was sent to me from Manventure. Manventure got in touch with me and said that they would like me to review this, so I said yes. Obviously I've not been paid for this, they've given this to me for free to check out, but it has no sort of sway on whether or not I like this. I've not been paid to do this favourably, and hopefully you'll get my brutal and honest opinion of this flashlight. So for now, because it's very windy, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get straight into it, and let's turn the camera around so you can see more about this. Okay, so what will probably be useful at this point is we'll go through what you get in the box, and then we'll go through some of the measurements. So in the box wise, you get the flashlight. You also get a lanyard, which is fairly typical. Strange thing with this is, I can't really find anywhere to put it. Yeah, don't really get that bit. You get a head strap, which, again, you know, that goes on. I've used this quite a bit, and the head strap, as far as head straps go, it's a fairly standard head strap. One of the bits that I do like about this head strap is the fact that you have all of this reflective bit on it, so you can be seen by others, as well as, you know, you can see others as well if they have similar one to this. And the way that it connects on is exactly the same as the way that the pocket clip goes on as well. So it's just, as you can see there, 2 springs which push in and it connects it in place. Allows it to be able to be moved around really nicely. You might find after a while that you get a bit of wearing on there, but you know, I don't mind that. I like a lot of my gear to look like it's actually being used. You also get a charging cable, which is micro USB. Micro USB is kind of on its way out, but it's good that it's in there. Connects on the back here. Again, we'll go through that. And you also get an adapter so that you can use different types of batteries in here. The one that comes in here is a 21700 battery, but you can use this to house other batteries within this. I think this is really clever, mainly down to the fact that, you know, you get this, it comes with the battery, it's included with that. However, if you do have some other batteries lying around that you can keep as spares, then instead of having to purchase another one that fits this exactly, then you can use this adapter to put other ones in there. Last but not least, I think, I'm just checking, rattling around in my box, is you get a replacement O-ring just in case you need to replace the one that's in there. The packaging that it comes in is nice packaging. As far as packaging goes, it's just packaging. Generally most people will kind of throw this bit away. Okay, so to go through some measurements, and I'll just hold this beautiful flashlight here in front, hopefully it's still in shot, to give you some of these measurements. So from top to bottom, it is 128 millimeters, which is roughly 5.05 inches. The head dimension is 28.8 millimeters by 37 millimeters, which is roughly an inch, 1.14 inches by 1.25 inches. The diameter of the tube is 26 millimeters, or just over an inch, or at least, sorry, the top bit here. And then the tail diameter here, because it is slightly wider here, where you can screw on the cap to get in. Where you can screw on the cap to get in and out of the battery compartment. This is 28 millimeters. It weighs 1.38 grams, which is 4.89 or 4.9 ounces. Now, I wouldn't say it's a particularly heavy flashlight, but it's on the heavier and larger side for EDC. You can definitely fit this in your pocket. It slips in your pocket really easily, as you'd expect. You know, it's just a flashlight. You can see it in my hand. However, it is on the larger side. If you're after a flashlight that you can keep in your truck, if you're after a flashlight that you keep in your off-body carry in a bag, this is absolutely amazing flashlight for that. You can still carry it on body. As I say, it's just a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier than your average EDC flashlight. With the pocket clip as well, you can maybe clip it to your belt. Yeah, so it's good for that. I like it. Couple things to note. Hopefully you'll have seen that instead of having one large LED built into the head here, instead it has 4 smaller LEDs. So these are Cree XPG3 SE LEDs. That sounded like you were reading that out from some sort of fact sheet there, Moorlander, and you'd be right. With maximum brightness of up to 2700 lumens. The whole construction of this is built from aluminium, and on the back you have, well, as you can see, hopefully there you can see, so there are heating vents into this, so the LEDs do crank out a little bit of heat, but instead of having one large one which has a lot of heat, they've been able to use this in a way that instead they have 4 smaller ones which still produce a bit of heat, but not as much as one large one, still being able to crank out 2700 lumens. And plus, with the heat venting here on the back, it means that it doesn't overheat in your pocket if it was to turn on by accident, or it doesn't overheat and damage the components on the inside. So just to go through some of the bits on here, so you have the head here with the LEDs in here. If I do this on them, hopefully you can hear that. It has a orange peel style diffuser lens on the front, so instead of having a very focused hotspot, instead it really does shower and blanket everything in front of you with a really nice wide cone. On some of the settings, we'll go through some of the measurements as far as how far the throw goes on each of the different light lumen levels, but we'll cover that in a bit. On the back, you have a USB or a mini micro USB charging port. This actually has a really satisfying air seal, so when you open it, you can hear there is like a little pop or a little hiss as it comes out, which is definitely good, because that just really does prove to you that there is a very tight seal in there. And then when you're in there, you can fit any micro USB charger in it. You can charge those with any mobile phone charger, or even you can plug it into a laptop through USB and you can charge it through there as well. You have some knurling here on this kind of shaft section, and then on the end you do have a magnetized bottom. Now, I quite like how they've been able to conceal this. It's in there, but when you first look at it, you wouldn't think that was a magnetized bottom, but it is. It says on here, and the magnet is definitely strong enough sounds daft, but you do get some of these magnetized bottoms where you put it onto something, and with a bit of wind you can take it off. But with this, it magnetizes onto something and it's on there fast. You don't need to worry that this is just going to blow off or knock off. If you're doing something in a truck, you've got it up on the top of your bonnet, off camera, up on the top of your bonnet at an angle so that you can get something, you knock it with your head, you're worried it's going to come off. Yeah, you don't really need to worry about that at all. So you can unscrew the bottom. You have a nice tight thread on there, and you get to unscrew it quite a bit before it comes out. And here we have the battery that's in here. It's a 4000 milliamp hour battery. It's a 20, oh, I did have that written down, where have I put it? It is a 21700, sorry, I was going to say 25700. It's a 21, it even says it there, silly Moorlander, a 21700 battery, which fits in perfectly. Now, as I mentioned, what you can do is, just rummaging around in my box, there is this adapter. So what you can do is you can put this in with other batteries. This will fit an 18650 battery, plus you can also fit in there two CR123 batteries next to each other, then put it in, screw it in, and it will work. So if you do have other batteries that you choose to use instead, or you have those as extra batteries, you can use that instead of this main one. Maybe if you're out and about and this one runs out and you need to have another one. The threads on this are very smooth threads. Again, it seems like a strange thing to say, but when it gets to the end, you know, they screw in really nicely. It's very smooth, but when you get to the end, you feel that there is a definite pressure to push back on that, which just makes you feel just more secure that if this was to get wet, that it will stay dry. It does have an IP65 rating. I'll put that down here. So if it does get dropped into water, it will be it can be submerged in up to 2 meters of water, and you can get that out. The other thing mainly to point out is the top button here on the top. This is how you generally turn it on and off, but there are also some light indicators in here. It doesn't look like it, but this is actually slightly frosted black, so that when you're charging it, there is a blue light indicator in there to tell you how it is charging, and also how when the battery's full. So the actual construction, it feels very good and very well made in the hand. I think some of that comes down to the heft of it. As I mentioned, it's a little bit on the heavy side, but generally you find when you pick something up, it feels heavy, it feels sturdy. You get that sense that it's well made, and it really does feel well made. So as far as the light and the user interface, I think a lot of these lights, I mean, let's face it, they're very similar in the way that they work and the outputs that they have, but I think a lot of these, and I've mentioned this before in previous videos, comes down to the user interface and how easy it is to be able to go through the different settings. So for me, I think Nitecore have actually done this very well. So what you have is, you have a series of one click, long presses and double clicks. So turn it on with just one click, and that's one quick click, less than a second, puts it into the ultra low mode, which is 1 lumen. Then if you cycle through by pressing the button again and again to turn it off, you go I've just blinded myself now and I can't see my notes. You have 40 lumens, which is low. You then have 270 lumens, which is the medium setting. You then have high, which is 800 lumens, and then you have turbo, which is that maximum 2700 lumens, and it is super bright. When we see in a minute how it performs in the dark, it performs very well. So let's put that on there so that it's on high. To turn it off, you hold it down for longer than a second, and that will turn it off. So that's just with a single click. If you then There's a memory unit inside this, so if you then hold it down for longer than a second, it kicks in the memory, and then it goes exactly the way, you know. So if you always want it so that you have it on so that it comes up on high, when you turn it off, it turns off. To turn it off, by the way, you hold it down for just slightly longer than a second and it'll turn off. To turn it back on again for the memory, I was on high, hold it down for just over a second and it will come back on again. One of the things that I really like about this is that single click, and it puts it on 1 lumen. And the reason for that is, it's great. We all like to show off a flashlight and go, wow, look at this. Here's 2,700 lumens, which is great, and it's very useful to have that if you want to be able to flood an area. For an EDC torch, and I know, you know, I've said that this is on the heavier side of an EDC flashlight, it's super useful just to be able to put it on, because in a lot of situations you're going to be in a building or something, you're just going to need to be able to find something. You might even be in a bedroom, you know, your nearest and dearest is in the bed next to you. You don't want to turn on a flashlight that's going to drown the room in light. Put it on to 1 lumen, which is very similar to, you know, it's just a, people refer to it as a moonlight kind of setting, to be able to find what you need, turn it off, and it's there. Those 1 lumen settings, I'm finding that I'm using a hell of a lot more than the 2,700 lumen settings. So I really appreciate that. I think that's quite nice. Just some information for you. Let's put it down on low. If you have it on low, which is, as I mentioned, 1,000 lumens, you get 1,200 hours on that on full, and it's got a roughly 3 meter throw, which in a closed environment like a bedroom or a sitting room or a living room, somewhere like that, it's good for that. Low is our 40 lumens. That will give you on a full battery charge, and that's with the 21700 battery that's currently in this from a full charge. You get roughly 52 hours and has a throw of about 14 meters. Out and about, I'd say it's close to that, but you know, it would need to be an incredibly dark night. When you're indoors, it does get definitely close to that. Then we have that medium or mid setting, 2,700 lumens. You get roughly 8 hours, and it's a 40 meter throw. So out and about in the countryside, I probably got roughly half of that. But again, if you were in the darkest of dark rooms, then, you know, yeah, you'd get that. Then the last one on here was the turbo mode, it was high, which is 800 lumens. You get roughly 3 hours out of this, and a 73 meter. You get in the gist of this. 73 meters, I haven't been able to get that, but the nights here in the Northern Hemisphere, especially at the north of the Northern Hemisphere, don't get ridiculously dark. And then last but not least, there's the turbo, which is 2,700 lumens. You get roughly 45 minutes out of this, and it's 134 meters worth of throw. Again, you know, yeah, okay, I get that. It probably would get close indoors. When you are indoors with that turbo mode, it is ridiculous, honestly. The amount of light that it throws out is pretty blinding. In fact, it is incredibly light, and again, with that orange peel lens that on the front, it diffuses that light and scatters it in so many different directions. What you then have on here are 3 special settings. You have a strobe, you have a beacon, and you also have SOS, which we'll have a look in the dark in a second as well. And these all output at 2,700 lumens. So at the full brightest turbo burst, on a double click, you get the strobe. This strobe is ridiculous, honestly. If you're inside, you turn the strobe on, you're going to get blinded and very disorientated. And then to get through the other settings, it's just another click. So you get from strobe, you then get to beacon, Again, this is 2700 lumens of beacon. Doesn't really give you any indication of how long this will last, mainly because it's probably very difficult to test. But for ultra low, it was over 1,000 hours. I'm sure you probably get similar to this, but I mean, again, don't quote me on that, purely because this would be incredibly hard to test. So this is beacon. Then you also get, with another click, you get SOS, which, you know, it goes through the paces of SOS. You can see this from a long distance away. It's great. 2,700 lumens of SOS. To turn it off, hold it down for longer than a second and it turns off. Now, the proof of the pudding, as they say, is in the tasting. So let's switch the camera to night mode and have a look to see exactly what this bad boy does do. So we'll go through the different modes from ultra low to low, medium, high and turbo, and I'll give you some kind of idea as what you can see. So here at the moment, which I'll point this down on the ground, so this is your ultra low. This is your 1 lumen, which is perfect for inside the house. Just trying to find things when you're not trying to be too conspicuous, or that sounded dodgy then actually, doesn't it? But it's more, you know, trying to find your keys in the dark, and you don't want to wake your wife up or wake the kids up. So next up from that, we have low, which is, hopefully if we can see, so over there right in front of the camera now, hopefully you can see this when I move that, you can see that there's a tree there. That's about 10 meters away. I've paced it out, it's about 10-12 meters away. So at 40 lumens you can just see the tree there. Then with another click, that brings that back then up to medium, which is 270 lumens. So hopefully you can see, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, there's another one at the back there, and there's another tree there. So you can see those, and you can see those quite well. Hopefully it shows just how much you can see with this. Now, you've got a very diffused wide cone with this. It's not one of those real kind of hot spots, because you've got that orange peel lens on the end. And then up another level, which is high, which is your 800 lumens. So now hopefully you can see that those trees there and there at the back are a lot easier to be able to see now. And with another click, then takes that up onto your ultra high, or your turbo really, which is 2,700 lumens. Now at this amount of lumens, it does get quite warm quite quickly. If you're using this for prolonged periods of time, I mean, we've been through how long you can go on this, but it does get quite warm, but it's not unbearably warm. It's not something I'd be worried too much about. So, and then click again, and that goes down to your 1 lumen. So we've got ultra low, low, medium, high, and then turbo. What we've also got is, so I'll turn those off, you then have your 3 special functions. So with a double click, there is strobe. The strobe on this is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Both the strobe, the beacon and the SOS use 2,700 lumens, the full power that you get from this. So with another click, that then turns on to beacon. And then with another click, you then get the SOS function. So hopefully, as you can see, the HC35 from Nitecore is a formidable flashlight in the dark. The spread, the blanket of the light that covers everything it really is good. It's amazing with this, compared to some other lights where you don't have that orange peel lens on the front. It's very focused. This, I mean, I've used the term blanket, and I really do mean it. Just blankets everything in front of you in light. It's great for that. It really is good. Having it clipped to you, keeping it on your head, or even just using it with the magnetic bottom onto something so that you can flood an area, is incredibly useful. Now, I generally tend to get to this bit and I think, is there anything that I'd change? And I might have alluded to this earlier. The only thing that I would possibly change about this is the charging system. That's not to say that the charging system on this is bad. Don't get me wrong, the charging system on this is great. as we previously mentioned, when you pull this plug out, there's almost, you can hear that air seal that when you pull it out, you get a when it comes out. So I have absolutely no doubts that this will keep watertight. It's just that it's an old technology, so what I'd like to see in future iterations of this is maybe just using USB Type-C. It's a lot easier to get those in, you have less snags, but what I'd generally like to see would be to have those magnetic charging clasps. Some of you might go, well, you know, there's another very famous flashlight company out there that use exactly the same, you're just copying them. And I'd say to that, to be fair, they copied from somebody else. There are lots and lots of solutions out there where they're using magnetic charging solutions for so many different things. So I'd say that would be the one thing that I would change or add to this in future iterations. It doesn't take anything away from this though, as I think that this is really is an excellent flashlight. So what I'd like to do at this point as well is to thank Manventure for sending this out to me. I got contacted by them, which was, do you know what, as a YouTuber I send out probably a dozen emails a week to different manufacturers trying to see if I can test some of their products. So to be contacted by a manufacturer that had, you know, seen my stuff, I took as a huge compliment. They may have done it, well, I know they've done it to lots of people, but for me, I definitely want to thank Manventure for that, for sending this out. Now, Manventure sell on Amazon, they have, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter, they're all over the place. So what I'll do is I'll leave links in the description below so that you can find them and you can see all of the other products, the other Nitecore products that they do, and you can get some. And again, huge thank you to them. And the fact that this was free and they sent this out to me had no sway whatsoever on the outcome of this video. Like I mentioned, you know, I just love right angle flashlights. They did some research. So for now, don't forget, check out that last video so you can have a look at the giveaway. Follow me on Instagram, Moorlander_EDC. Like, subscribe, hit that like button, definitely hit that like button. If you've seen that, then yeah, that's cool. And yeah, so for now, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC.